Okay, so welcome back in this new environment, which is the Members Consortium. So thank you for sticking around, for those who are with us in person, and for those who are joining us on Zoom again, welcome. Esteemed members, so as mentioned, Paul presented to us the dashboard before, which was an important initiative of the 4/1000 this last year. And that's a tool that has multiple purposes. Firstly, of course, to monitor the development of the initiative through its members and partners, and to better visualize and understand the ecosystem, which is so unique to our initiative. Secondly, another purpose is to assess the progress made in implementing the 2050 strategic plan and its 24 objectives by monitoring the chosen indicators, particularly regarding the 2030 and 2050 targets mentioned in the document. And finally, and this is a major undertaking, the dashboard seeks to assess the impact of what the initiative is proposing, and in particular, the scaling up of agroecology. How to measure this progress, of course, country by country, is no small challenge. And to do this, we have several avenues and proxies for approaching an overall vision in terms of the progress of agroecology in individual countries and at a global level. And the vision of agroecology that's set out in the book, Farmers Have the Earth in Their Hands, will help us to put in place the third part of the 4/1000 dashboard. So in this context, however, we need to be careful about how the various players perceive what agroecology is. Thanks to the work of the high-level panel of experts of the Committee on Food Security and the FAO, the concept of agroecology is defined by its 13 principles and 10 elements, which broadly coincide. Nevertheless, these principles and elements of agroecology combine agricultural practices with socioeconomic, organizational, and governance considerations. So all this makes it rather complex and abstract for an evaluator to assess the level of agroecological development achieved by a given geographical area, or all the more a country. By concentrating on the principles and elements relating to farming practices, we can also have a clearer assessment based on criteria and indicators that are easier to measure and compare. So this is the approach we're proposing for the 4/1000 initiative, because the central issue for us remains soil health and the quantities of carbon sequestered in the soil. It is therefore a pragmatic approach that we choose rather than a dogmatic one, where we focus simultaneously on results as well as practices, without excluding from the outset any particular practice considered to deviate from perfection, which could lead to a narrow and restrictive view. So we believe this approach will be more inclusive and nuanced and encourage advances that actually lead to positive results for soil health. I want to say a quick word also about the fact that we can be wary of using terms that are not clearly defined, and of, for example, organizations that might be co-opting this term. For an example, we know regenerative agriculture is being used both by civil society players and private sector players. However, given there's not necessarily a clear definition of it, one that everybody agrees on, this can lead to misunderstandings in the sector. So in its humble way, the 4/1000 initiative has sought and continues to seek to make a constructive contribution to the debate, and above all, to the progress of actions in favor of carbon sequestration and soil health. So this is the only way we will succeed in making progress together for the benefit of the common good that is our soil. We still have so much to do, and much depends on your decisions today, your support for the initiative, and the work of the Executive Secretariat. So thank you so much for joining us and for your dedication to this cause and your contributions. So without further ado, let us begin with the consortium. So first point is the adoption of the agenda. I don't believe there is a slide for the agenda, no? So I'll just quickly run through it. So first of all, we'll approve the report of the consortium number 8 that took place in Sharm el-Sheikh in November 22. Then we will have general matters. So we'll first have welcome to new partners and members, approval of the activity report, and the 2023 Bureau activity report. Then we'll have proposals from the Scientific and Technical Committee. So proposals to be included in the 2024 roadmap. Then we'll go to the work program for 2023 in regards to the roadmap and budgets. And then will we have a presentation for information, Paul? Yeah. So we will have presentations for informations by different players and the conclusion of the consortium. So are there any objections or proposals for edits to this agenda? Seems clear? All right, thanks everybody. So we'll approve the agenda. And now everybody had access to the consortium report number 8. So the report of the consortium that took place in November 2022 in Egypt. Were there any objections or proposals for edits to this report? None either. All right, so thanks very much. We will approve the consortium report number 8. And now moving on to general matters, we'll first have Paul speak to us about the new partners and members in the last year.
Thank you very much. So just give you an overview of the new members and partners that sent their application form since the last meeting of the Bureau in October. So we have no local government, no private foundation, no farmers organization, but we have 3 research institutions and university, one in Bangladesh, one in Nepal, and one in Ireland. And we have 4 NGOs from Cameroon, Mexico, Philippines, and Greece. And we have 13 businesses from Canada, France, Nepal, USA, UK, India, Nepal, and that's it. So I recall you that the member of the consortium have also a small booklet accessible in the AFRIS page with all the information provided by each of the applicants in order to get more information and if they have to ask questions on it. On the second part, there are also some members and partners that were validated by the Bureau since the consortium number 8. So we need to have an overview of that. We have 2 regions, the region Occitanie and the Weekend Council in France and Norway that joined the initiative. There were some international organizations that Conscience Planet that joined also from USA. We have 3 university and research institutions from Taiwan, Republic of Korea, and Indonesia. We had 2 farmers organizations from Turkey and Brazil. We have 13 NGOs from Mali, Rwanda, Uganda, USA, Belgium, United Arab Emirates, Austria, France, Portugal, and Cameroon and Sweden. And we have 17 for-profit organizations or business, respectively from Greece, France, USA, Colombia, Poland, Switzerland, Taiwan, Germany, Ecuador, UK, India, Australia, and Chile. So there is now a decision by the consortium concerning the new members and partners that were applied since the last Bureau and the validation, of course, of the Bureau work during 2023.
Yes, so does everybody approve the new partners and members, or feel free to raise your hand, either virtually or in person? No? Yes, raise your hand if you disagree. If you have any comments about any of them. Okay, otherwise we will consider the new members and partners approved. Thank you very much, everybody. Great. We wish you all welcome. So next point is the approval of the 2022-2023 4 per thousand activity report, which was already presented during the forum. So this is just a decision point in that case, right? Okay. So does everybody approve the report, or otherwise, does anyone have any objections? No objections or comments to the activity report? So in that case, we will move to approve the activity report. Thank you, everybody. And now we will hear from Paul again about 2023 Bureau activity report.
Thank you, Gabriel. So I already said few words about this activity of the Bureau in the activity report of the initiative. But I just recall to you the composition of the Bureau in a sub-college, like country with Germany and Argentina, sub-college of international organization with FAO, GSP, and research and teaching institution, education institution, sorry, with a couple ERD, France, and laboratory for radioisotope of Madagascar, and the alternate of Senegalese Institute for Agricultural Research. Producer group with GCAN and Demain la Terre, and the NGO and civil society with Acalod and Jerry. This is from Acalod that a member of the Bureau passed away in April. So they, as I said already, and I will not repeat myself, there were 6 meetings that validate new members and partners that you had the list just previously validated by the consortium. They organized the continuity of the Bureau activities, so I went in detail on that. I will maybe stop for a few minutes on this question about Gabriel. So Gabriel, you just don't listen, but you know that area. Now, as you know, maybe you don't know, Gabrielle Bastien changes her position, and she is no more working for Regeneration International, which is, Canada, very sorry. Regeneration Canada, which is in fact our member, and she was elected as vice president, being representing Regeneration Canada. And as she's not more part of this organization and working for the private sector now, which, well, kind of, unfortunately for you, so she has to quit her position. And well, as it was very quick and it was not possible to organize election, I proposed to the Bureau to validate the fact that she will remain in position until the end of 2023. That's what the Bureau accepted, and that is why Gabrielle, and we have the pleasure to have Gabrielle today as a chair of this meeting. So, but to find a solution to that, for the beginning of next year, I proposed to the Bureau, who accepted it, that we consider the possibility to replace Gabrielle by the lady who was arriving in second position in the election, which is working for Regeneration International and not Canada at this time, Ercilia Saores. And so the Bureau accepted that, asked me to take contact with her, and she accepted to consider this possibility. And the consortium will be questioned later on the fact that she will be or not chair of the vice chair of the 4 per mil from the 1st of January 2024. So you have the whole history and the whole decision that you will have to take later. We also decided that to propose to the consortium through the Bureau the possibility to organize a new call for application for STC members. So we will do that at the beginning of next year, definitely. And I was talking about this agreement with the CDA concerning the fact to have a possibility to collect funds with a non-profit, French non-for-profit organization. We will come back a little bit later, more in detail. I don't want to develop that here. And the Bureau also validate the work of the task force that were explained to you just before at the end of the forum. They also help us to prepare the meeting that we had here, taking a lesson of what was there, what's happened last year in Sharm el-Sheikh, and also acknowledge the work on Chairman Chair, joint work on implementation of climate action of agriculture and food security. I already said that. I will not repeat again on the regional conference. They accept the motto, I mean, the main theme of this day. Let's put soil health higher in the international agenda and act now. And also, they also acknowledge the fact that we are organizing or co-organizing a lot of side events at COP28. We already organized or co-organize or participate to 3 of them yesterday. There will be 3 more coming on Friday, and there will be another one on Sunday. So it's for the, and I would say that I have to acknowledge the fact that the partnership with CIRAD and ERD was very fruitful this year, and we could organize all those side events or co-organize with them because the team was very active. And I would like to thank Jean-Luc and Vincent and Solène very deeply because their work was very productive with us. And thank you for that. And I think that's all for the Bureau, but it was already a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. So does anyone have any objections about the 2023 Bureau Activity Report? None. So in that case, we shall approve the 2023 Bureau Activity Report. Thank you, everybody. And now we move to the proposals of the Scientific and Technical Committee to be included in the 2024 roadmap. So we will hear from Dr. Beverly Henry. Oh, apologies. Okay. So we'll hear from Farshad. Okay.
So sorry, at the time we prepared the things, we said one or the other. Yeah. And I forgot to remove the or and remove the one.
Apologies for this. Thank you, Farshad.
We had discussion the day before yesterday on how we can continue on 2024 with our group. So next, please. We have decided to follow 10 specific activities. So we will continue writing papers and policy briefs because it's a kind of core thematic activities of our group. We will continue for calling of formative assessment of projects. We will launch the 6th call, possibly during May or June, and continue collaborations with other global initiatives like GSP or EU Mission on Soil and so on and so forth. So it's kind of continuations of joint reporting, joint statements, any kind of scientific activity jointly held with other organizations. We will continue to collaborate in the implementation plan and the strategy implementation cycle, which Claudia mentioned earlier. As part of the Bureau meetings, chairs must attend. The STC chair must attend. So I will attend on behalf of the STC members in all Bureau meetings, which is perhaps 6, if I'm not wrong, 6 meetings per year. So we will act individually as ambassadors of the initiative for Per Thousand initiative in any conferences held across the world. As part of our job, we will validate the papers to be introduced in our website as for Per Thousand initiative website, and also scientifically contribute to conferences in different places. We will have at least one regional meeting next year. And so as Paul mentioned, 3 specific new members for STC, but at now we have conferred that 2 new members will be replaced by a new members. We have lack of 2 specific scientific niche. One is carbon accounting, and the other one is the communication specialist in the field of carbon. So bearing in mind that we must have the equal balance of region and gender in our group, we are also seeking different types of interdisciplinary thematic issues to help us for creating or preparing some scientific outputs. That's it for us, and hopefully we can continue more than that, but it's just initial thought on that activities which is going to be held in 2024. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Farshad. Okay, so next point, we'll jump into the work program for 2023, so the roadmap and budget. And we'll first move to adopt the 4/1000 2024 roadmap. So we'll hear from Béatrice, Ms. Béatrice Breton-Ascar, who will present us the 2024 roadmap. Thank you, Béatrice.
Hello. So first, before talking about the roadmap, I wanted to say a few words because the roadmap 2024 will be the roadmap 2023 plus 20% of actions and engagement. And I'll explain more seriously afterwards why. So I wanted also to say that, of course, it's an honor and I feel blessed every day to work at the Executive Secretariat because we are surrounded by all this network that we see today on Zoom and in real life. We have a great team and we have to be very creative every day. And that's what I like the most about it. Sometimes it's very tiring, you can imagine, spending so much time to organize all this. But every year we meet so many new people, so many new ideas pop up, and we keep on expanding our engagement. And that's very, very important. So, but more seriously now, I'll talk about, I won't go back again through all of it because the STC, we had a lot of input already by the STC, from the STC, from everybody. But as you know, the roadmap is mainly about the core facilities. It means that it is led by the Executive Secretariat. I'm not talking today about the global facilities, but only the core facilities. So, next, Julia, please. So just as you remember, the strategic plan in June 2020, operational framework in 21-22 version 2, and implementation plan in 2022. And since then, inception of partnerships and alliances for our activity. Next, please. So next again. And I wanted to just spend a few time on these 2 slides to remind you how many partnerships we have already, because sometimes we think that we don't have so many, but when we list them, it's a lot. I've emphasized in green all the new engagements in 2023, and the one we'll pursue, but we still don't know which one we'll do next year. So we still have the support, as you know, of 3 ministries. And in 2023, Finland added a lot of money to support the Northern European meeting. And we'll be in 2024 looking for new funding from new countries. And we have already some ideas in our head, like Switzerland, Norway, or South American countries like Brazil, who is not a partner yet. Or so we have ideas in mind, but we will pursue our action into that. I would like to thank you again, R&D, for the great financial support every year. And this is really making a huge difference on the support we receive from you. Next, Julia, please. Julia, next, please. And all these other partnerships with also a very interesting action this year with the Farm Foundation. It's a utility, recognized as a utility foundation in France. And they've funded the venue and the transportation costs for farmers to our regional conferences, is mainly in Abidjan and in India. So that's very important to have farmers in the middle of our action and to have farmers at our regional conferences. Otherwise, it is not meaningful. So we signed a MOU last year, but this year we signed a 2023 application agreement, and we'll sign a new one in 2024 for them to provide us some money to support activities. It's not a direct funding, but it's a funding of actions that we do together. They've also funded 50% of the MRV event that we did mid of November in Montpellier with Deloitte, and 40 people that came from all over France to have different roundtables, policymakers, science, private sector companies, and also, and the voice of farmers was heard that day, so that was very good. We signed, as we saw that before with Ananya, MOU with the Artfulness Institute in India too. And I will spend now a bit of more time on the Memorandum of Understanding and the financial agreement we have signed with CDA. Paul already mentioned that, but I would like to emphasize that. So next, Julia, please. So resource mobilization, as you say, is very key. And so we have two routes. We have a route for public funds. So that's a direct convention with signatory countries. And we have another route that we have been exploring since years. It's how to attract private money, private funding. And we now have a very interesting solution because we have one of our private partners who decided to sponsor, who is a strong advocate for agroecology. And after creating his own company, this organization has created an association called CDA, the Center for Development of Agroecology. And this association, due to its juridical status in France, is able to welcome, to be a receptacle for funds, for private funds, and more interesting, to give a fiscal deduction. It means that if a private company wants to give 10,000 euros, it will cost them really 4,000 euros. So 60% fiscal deduction. So that's very, very interesting. In the past, we didn't have that possibility. So that's why some groups were a bit reluctant to give some money to us. So we hope a lot that it will work, and we are very grateful and hoping to receive some funds for the operating budget of the initiative, because having more funds would mean doing more and more and more. As I already told you, we do a lot already with little money, but if we have a bit more money, we'll do again more and more. So we are very engaged people, believe me. So next slide, please, Julia. And the last thing is, so yes, I won't spend too much time on that. So you can go to the budget slide. I know that we'll talk about the budget later. Paul will take that, but I still wanted to show you these figures. Is that we vote a certain amount of budget every year at the consortium, and that's what we will do in a few minutes. But if you look at the available budget column, you will see the difference already, and you'll see that year on year passing, we are doing exponential activities and actions and engagement, but the budget is still the same and the human resources are almost still the same. So there's a big delta, a huge difference. That's why we will do this call for funding towards private French company at the beginning of 2024. So they're not supposed to be there during the consortium of members because, as you know, private companies can only be partners due to what was decided at the inception of the initiative. So we are not talking directly to them right now, but if they listen to us in a certain way, they will know that all the money they provide to us will go directly to the budget, the 4 family budget, and it will mean increase in what we do. And I'm done for today, and I would like to thank you to listen to me.
Thank you so much, Beatrice, for presenting this. So next we will hear from Paul again around the meetings of the initiative, so the Forum and Consortium and STC in 2024 and COP29. Is Julia speaking now?
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Apologies,
Hi.
the schedule I have does not seem to be up to date.
Good. You can add, Paul.
Thank you, Julia, for joining us, for presenting this.
Well, actually, I'm going to introduce you to the meetings planned for next year. And I promise I'm going to be quick because at the moment we are still lacking a lot of information for next year and we haven't finalized our plans. Yeah, there you can see the list. As you all know, we are having 2 SDC meetings every year, one connected to COP and to Quatre Pommiers Day, and another normally approximately about half a year later in May, June, July. So next year, we are going to have the 17th SDC meeting, and it might take place in Florence, Italy, next year in May, as the centennial celebration and congress of the International Union of Soil Sciences is going to take place there. But it's not set in stone yet, but that is the plan at the moment. So then we are planning 2 regional meetings next year. The first one, which is going to, or which should take place in the first semester, is supposed to be in Southern Europe and the Mediterranean region. And the second one, in the second semester of the year, is going to be in Latin America. And then, of course, what's going to take place is the 8th Initiative Day with Forum and Consortium, what we're doing here today. But because we don't know where COP next year is going to be, we also don't know where it's going to take place next year. The same for the STC meeting, but we're definitely going to have these meetings next year. We just don't know yet where it will be. So, and quite honestly, that's only what we planned so far, but throughout the year, there's always a lot coming up and there's always numerous additional events coming. So let's see what we're reporting next year. Thank you. Paul, do you want to add? What did I miss?
No, you missed nothing, Julia. Thank you very much. I just would like to ask the same question than you. Is there anybody in the room who know where will be the COP29? First question, no. Okay, good. Thank you for your cooperation. And the second thing is that we discussed in the next door just this morning about with the FEBRAP, the APRESID, sorry, and the people from Argentina said that they are organizing meeting in Argentina in August about conservation agriculture. That could maybe be a good opportunity to join forces there because they will be organizing something that it will be easy to couple the things. So let's see. But thank you very much, Julia. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia, for presenting about next year's meetings. Okay, so next we will hear from Paul about the financial and human resources, including information about the Executive Secretariat and its composition.
Okay, so maybe that will be not so fun to present that part, because as Beatrice already starts to present to you, the situation is not the best that we have known, but the good news is that we are still alive. And we are still here. The good news, the bad news is that we don't know if we will still be alive next year at the same time. So the annual budget that the consortium approved last year in Sharm el-Sheikh was 0.14 kilo euro, or 1 kilo euro, sorry. I mix up all the figure, but in fact, we had only 1,000 euro available in this year, including the remaining part from last year and including the contribution from French and Spanish Ministry of Agriculture and ERD. We have succeeded to spend only 345,000 euro, to which we need to add the overheads that is paid, the fees that it's paid for the entity who hosts us. That means a total expenditure of 371 kilo euro. So for that, we have the executive secretary is composed by various members, and we come back on that. But we had offices in Montpellier, and which is provided free of charge by the Région Occitanie, which is now member officially of the 4%, which is quite a good news. But they were contributing for a long time. They were not members, so it's even more. We need to thank them more for that. And we anticipated the fact that at the end of this year, the remaining amount to be pushed for next year will be only 39 kilo euro. So in all those expenditure, you can see that we spend 55,000 euro for the offices and equipment and all the electricity and blah, blah, blah. So this is very easy. There is one about 80,000 euro for the position of Beatrice, which is where I would like to be able to give more, because she's only working at 60% of her time, which is not a lot if we consider that. And well, she's working more than that, but she's paid only by 60%. We have some expenses of travel for the executive secretariat and the presidency for 34,000. And thanks to some sponsor like Moet & Tea, who sponsored one of my trip in Montreal last year. I mean, I have to pay less. Could have been more than that, but they pay a ticket for me, which is very kind of them, to allow me to participate to the COP on biodiversity, which was very interesting for us. And we have communication and web consultant for 110. This included website and also the part on the collaborative platform, which is also costly, but it is very, very useful for us. And the organization of meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh last year, in Montpellier for the STC, cost us about 91,000 plus the overhead, and you come to the total I just announced previously. In terms of in-kind contribution, you have the contribution for my position, the position of Elena over there, and the position for Claudia, Julia, and Samuel in Germany, and Brigitte for 0.3 person in CIRAD. So I have to thank very much all those ministries and CIRAD for those very important contribution, because you can imagine that with budget level, we will never be able to pay all those persons working in the secretariat. So the Occitanie region, I already thanks them for the bureau. This is all valued for about 24,000 euro at the total. So to all of that, this year we need to add the contribution, special contribution to the organization of the regional conference that we were talking about. You can see that all together, those conferences cost roughly 200,000 euro, and that the most expensive one was the one in Finland, which is not surprising, but we had a very strong help from the Finnish Ministry of Agriculture with 75,000 euro, and from the Helsinki region with 10,000 euro, and ET Food 15,000. And we have also another conference in India that cost only less than 37,000 euro, but we put 10,000 on our budget to contribute to that, because the sponsors were not strong enough to support the whole cost of this meeting. And the one in co-organized with CIRAD in Abidjan cost 50,000 euro, and with the various contributions from the French Ministry of Agriculture, as the same that in India, and also the project area for soil that it was acknowledged by the CIRA this morning, 20,000 euro, and some other partners like Farm, as Beatrice explained just before, and some other project like Tarasa and CIRAD, of course. But some people participating also through plane ticket to allow farmers to come. That was very appreciated. And we had also some catering help from Moet & Sea for Helsinki. So altogether, well, we have to thank all the sponsors who giving money or who give some in-kind contribution. That was very helpful. And thanks to them, we succeed to organize 3 meetings this year. I hope that it will be the same next year for the 2 meetings that we propose to organize in 2024. So for the orientation, so that we would like to push, you already have the strategic roadmap. So of course, we would like on the plan concerning the fund to continue some collaboration, very important collaboration. But we will have more, as Beatrice explained to you, we'll have a quantity of activity that will increase. And so we would like to get really this time a budget which is close to the million euro, which is always a dream at the moment, but the core budget will be a little bit less than 800,000. And to that, we would have to add 240,000 euro for the contribution of the regional meeting. So all the contributions are welcome. So I did also an exercise very interesting. This is, you have in blue the total, the voted budget for each year. And in green, you have the total available budget. And in red, you have the curve with showing with the scale on the right, the percentage of the available budget compared to the voted budget. And you can see that this is under 50%, which is not really reasonable if we want to continue our activity. And another figure, it's the comparison between the available budget, the expenses, available budget in green, expenses in red. In blue, you have the report from the previous year. So it means the remaining amount at the end that I push to the next year. And you can see that sometime the amount of, well, when the COVID was there, I mean, the money we report from one year to another was a little bit higher, but when the COVID disappeared again, fortunately, well, the quantity of money from one year to another was not so high. And then finally, you see that the expenses this year and last year is more than roughly 90% of our available amount. And this is quite difficult to continue in that direction, because it means that next year, if we do not have additional budget contributor, that will be more than difficult. I should acknowledge something special for this year, is the fact that you have noticed that last year I was also alarming the consortium and telling that it will be difficult to continue in 2023. Thanks to the French Ministry of Agriculture, who had in our budget 150,000 euro, we are still here. If it was not the case, we would not be in the position to organize this meeting, and the initiative would be, well, I would say sleeping a little bit more, because it was impossible to cover the cost of all the things. So they do that because they provide the money from the previous year budget to the following year. And most of the time, up to the beginning of the initiative, the money that we use in year N was providing from the budget N-1. That's what they did at the beginning of last year. But what's happened that when we decided that we need more money, because if not, we will not survive, they give the money of the year N at the same time. So it means that the French Ministry of Agriculture put on the table this year 300,000 euro for the initiative, which is quite a lot. And but they will not be in the capacity to do the same next year. So next year we will have the money for next year, but not the money for this year, because it's already gone. So this is a situation, and we really need, if we want to finish the year, to being able to collect 200,000 euro more than the one we have at the moment in perspective. So this is really an announcement. And if this not happen during the summer or before summer, then we'll have a nice online meeting next year that most probably will be the last meeting of the initiative. And I think when I see all the results that we already achieved and what the results that start to be visible at the international level on our main subject about soil health and soil carbon sequestration and agriculture, agroecology, and so on, I would say that it will be quite a waste. And as you know, we have to take care about waste. We need to reduce our waste. So starting by not putting the initiative in the rubbish bin, that would be great. Sorry for this black humor, I would say. So we had also this figure last year and showing you what the task force could cost. In fact, well, we'll reduce the minimum, the cost of the task force, because we are organizing all the meeting, of course, in remote and so on. But in fact, in reality, it would be good to have a little bit of money for each task force to be able to develop the activity. And we evaluate roughly that each task force each year should cost something like 10,000 euro to be able to develop correctly. So we continue to work with, how to say, bites and pieces, but I'm not sure we'll be able to continue too long. So for those who are interested, we can provide you many ways to contribute to our activities. We are missing one position or two at least. We are missing budget. You can organize meeting, you can welcome meeting in your vicinity if you have it, facilities, you can pay for tickets and whatever. I mean, we have a lot of ideas to share with you if you want to support us. So that would be great if some of you can help us. And I'm not talking about only the members that are supposed to be here, but we will launch a call soon, as Beatrice already said. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. So now this is a point of approval. So were there any objections or yes, for the last 3 points. So this is the roadmap, the meetings of the initiative, and the financial and human resources. No objections or questions? Thank you very much. So in that case, we approve those 3 points. So the roadmap, the meetings of the initiative, and the annual budget. So now there's another point in this section, which was governance issues, which Paul will present to us again.
Thank you very much. So I will be brief because we already have discussed some point, and at least I presented to you now. This is for decision. First thing is the renewal of the scientific and technical committee. So I provided in a document for the consortium the participation rate of each member of the STC, and you will be able to check in that document that most of the members have an attendance that are superior to 50%, but it could be improved, and we have some members that are just at the limit at the moment, and we are discussing, and some of the members already said that they will resign, they will retire at the end of this year. So we have to organize the reconstitution of our roster of STC member potential. So we will, if the consortium is okay, we will launch at the beginning of next year a call for application to become a member of the STC, and we will try to use that roster in order to replace the 2 members that will leave, as it was said by Farshad before. And we will also use these to, if we have enough candidature, of course, of quality, to also renew 2 other members at the end of next year, because some people already said that they would like to quit at the end of next year. So first proposition, the consortium of members is expected to validate or amend the Executive Secretariat proposal concerning the STC member renewal. Concerning the bureau, we had the same problem with some members where all the members are passed away, so that it will need to be replaced. I'm sorry for this poor person. And we have also 1 member which is attending very poorly. We are only 11% of participation. It's only an alternate, but I think it would be good to renew this member and maybe call for members that would like to retire and organize a new election for some members of the Bureau. So the proposal is very simple, just allow the Secretariat to organize a call for candidature and election for the new members of the Bureau by electronic means during 2024. The third point is concerning Gabrielle. So we would like the consortium to validate what we have done this year, means allow her to remain at this position until the end of this year, and propose as a replacement the Mrs. Ercilia Saores, who was arriving in second position at the level of the election, to replace Gabrielle from the 1st of January 2024. By the way, Stéphane Le Foll, which is presently the president, and Vice President Ibrahim Mayaki, give me the agreement to remain in position to allow Mrs. Saores to spend 2 years as a vice president in order to start working on the NORIA, as it was the case, supposed to be the case for Gabrielle when she arrived. So the proposal is to approve the validation of the election of Mrs. Ercilia Saores to replace Gabrielle Bastien from the 1st of January 2024 for a period of 2 years before being president at her term. The last point, which is not the least, the executive secretary proposed to the Bureau, and who approve it, the possibility to create new position in the presidency. We would like to propose the consortium to create the position of honorary president and honorary vice president. So those positions will be validated, of course, the nomination will be validated by the consortium only. And the idea is to being able to use the previous vice president or previous president or previous personality that help a lot the life of the initiative, being nominated vice president honorary or president honorary, to be able to being in the presidency system. And if we need a chair for our meetings, we could ask them if they would like to be the chair of those meetings. I'm thinking about Wolfgang Sonnbach, who already chaired twice the For Permit Initiative Day without the status of being a chair. He accepted that, and everybody accepted his chairmanship. But it would be great if we can, for instance, propose the consortium to nominate Wolfgang Sonnbach after, of course, I will ask him if he is agree on. Of course, that's just an example to become honorary president of the initiative. And so that will be the same for the people who occupy the function of vice president or president of the initiative, to being able to become honorary vice president or honorary president, in order to have a kind of group of personality that would be also ambassador of the initiative, because they know well the initiative due to their previous function. So it's also a proposal to be approved by the consortium. So I recall we ask your approval for the renewal of members of the STC, renewal of the member of the Bureau, change in the president, the vice presidency, and adoption of creation of honorary president and vice president honorary.
Thank you, Paul. So are there any objections to these propositions? Yes, please, Jean-Luc. Does anyone have a microphone for Jean-Luc here?
I would like to have two comments. I think that we need to have a STC very active, and so I fully agree on the fact that members who are willing to quit because of the matter, it should be renewed as soon as possible. And I would recommend to look at the current expertise and to complement the current expertise according to the next agenda. My second point is, on behalf of IRD, I would like to thank Gabrielle Bastien for having, chaired and being the vice chair of the initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. I appreciate this. Were there any other comments, or shall we move to approve the governance issues points raised by Paul? There are no other comments. We'll consider these governance issues approved. Thank you, everybody. So the next point is presentations for information. So we will have Ms. Suzanne Reinders, who's the head of the Soil and Climate International Priority Program at INRAE and coordinator of the ORCASA project. So she is joining us on Zoom to discuss the creation of the International Research Consortium. So Ms. Reinders.
Thank you very much, Gabrielle. I'm online and I'll start sharing my computer so that you can see my presentation. So my name is Susan Reinders. I work at the Scientific Directorate for Environment at INRAE, and as Gabrielle said, I'm the head of the International Priority Program, Soil and Climate, a position in which I follow Jean-François Souzana, who is our Vice President. So this first slide, just to show you that we launched on the 21st of November in Madrid during the European Soil Mission Week, officially the International Research Consortium on Soil Carbon, in the presence of Kirsten Rosenow from DG Agri, who's the head of the Soil Mission in Europe, and also with someone from DG Klima, Christian Holzleitner, who's leading the carbon removal framework at European level. Jean-François was there also, and a colleague from ISRIC as well. Where are we now? So the roadmap towards the Soil Carbon International Research Consortium started with, as I think many of you know, the CIRCASA project that was led by Jean-François Souzana with a large number of scientific partners who came to the conclusion that there was a need for a Soil Carbon International Research Consortium, so that the research community works together on that topic, that important topic of soil carbon. Then, I wrote the proposition, which is a coordination and support action funded by the European Commission. The project is called ORCASA, and it will last until August 2025. And our aim is really to set in place and to render really operational a Soil Carbon International Research Consortium. So it was launched, as I said, on the 21st of November. So what are the objectives? Like for the 4 per mil, we want to support the Paris Agreement, and we want to collaborate with other initiatives. So as shown on the slide, you will see that, we are working in close collaboration with other projects from the Soil Deal for Europe mission. We also have collaborations with some European Green Deal projects, one of them called Clean Farms. Of course, with the European Joint Programme on soil, led by Claire Chenu, whom you well know, but also FACE GPI, who's now directed, the president is Jean-François now. And we're working also at European level with the Joint Research Center, and in particular with the EU Soil Observatory. So that's for the European scope of the soil carbon. But of course, what we want to do is, as I said, support the Paris Agreement and the SDGs, work with the 4 per mil. So we've had already a number of discussions with Paul and Beatrice. We also want to work and align with the Global Research Alliance topics. And we have started also drafting a collaboration agreement with the Global Soil Partnership. So what do we want to do is be a kind of a research arm of the 4 per mil initiative, in that we really are engaging to foster synergies, alignment, and co-construction of research in that domain. So what we want to do is benefit international research cooperation. And one of the topics that we are eager to work on together is really how to harmonize monitoring, reporting, and verification methodologies, and how to do that at international level. So our roadmap is really something that is co-constructed. So in 2021, there was the CIRCASA final event with a number of registered stakeholders and the commitment of a number of them. Before submitting the proposal for ARCASA, I also organized 2 meetings in September 2021. And at that occasion, a number of partners, including Paul, told me, well, we shouldn't duplicate. We really want to work. We should really work together and align with other initiatives so that we foster synergies instead of duplicating things. And since then, we've had a number of online World Cafe concerning the governance, the mission and vision, but also more recently in November on the 3 services that we want to launch. As I said, the RSC was launched in November, but we want to carry on that co-construction with RSC parties so that by August 2025, we have in place that Soil Carbon International Research Consortium with a number of things in place, like the governance, the business model. So the problems that Paul just rose about budget and things like that, we really need to work on that because we only have budget until August 2025. So this is something that we really need to work on and collaborate on as well. So what kind of members do we expect within the Soil Carbon IRC? So maybe it is, I don't know about 4 per mil, but we have a focus on research with both scientists and also research organizations, universities, and living labs. And we want to work there also with international initiatives or programs related to soil carbon. We want to have funders within our consortium, because we think that we need to raise awareness and also have later on calls that are aligned between different funders, be them public or private funders. So this is something that we really need to work on. We already have a work package within ARCASA, working with public funders so that we develop knowledge hubs and thematic annual programming. But we also want to have users, so of course policymakers, but farmers, landowners, foresters, and so on. This is the governance that we are setting in place at the moment. So within ARCASA, we already have 5 regional nodes. So I don't know if Beata is in the room, but Beata is representing one of our regional nodes for Latin America. But we have also some partners in Australia with CSIRO, in the US with Keith Postian and his team, and so on. And so these 3 colleges that I just mentioned, a scientific committee, and the agreement we have already had with the 4 per mil initiative is, instead of duplicating that scientific committee, is really take profit of your scientific and technical committee to be at least the interim scientific committee of the Soil Carbon IRC. And we want to have a steering committee really dedicated to launch action groups on those 3 pillars we are developing, on those 3 services, which are knowledge sharing and capacity building, monitoring, reporting and verification, and research alignment and cause. And as I said, we need to work on our business model. So this is just to show you that we will have a general assembly, as I said, regional nodes, the steering committee, scientific committee, and so on. Our value proposition is really focused on these 3 services, which are, as I said, knowledge sharing and capacity building. For this, we have within our partnership in ORCASA, we have a funding agency, which is a French National Research Agency, ANR. On knowledge sharing and capacity building, we're developing a platform, which I may show you, the better version of it. So if I do a zoom on one of those services, which I just mentioned, the green one, so how to harmonize monitoring, reporting, and verification. Well, first of all, we take into account that there are different contexts of the application of MRV, which are the national inventories. That's why you are at COP at the moment, but also carbon offset programs, including voluntary carbon markets, mainly for forest up to now, but it's starting a lot for croplands. Carbon farming programs inside the supply chain, so in setting. And in Europe, the common agriculture policy, for which some operational methods are needed and still missing. So first of our outcomes is that proposition for harmonized MRV framework, which has been which is one of the outcome of ORCASA. We have made a review of all the methodologies that are existing throughout the world, and from that we have decided of those 3 topics with, in terms of monitoring, starting with data preparation, and also, so are there experiments, long-term experiments, direct soil management, activity data, farmers' activity data, spatial data layers from remote sensing. And from that, it will feed some process-based models. So most of you know the scheme that was published by Pete Smith and partners. That was one of the outcome of the CERCASA project. So that's where we are. So we are preparing within ORCASA what we are going to have as a service within the International Research Consortium. So our goal is really to develop a community, a harmonized, which will be used within that MRV. I won't go into much details, but just to show you one of the things that are being developed using all these different data that I mentioned. So it's a model. It's composed of a number of models using a number of remote sensing images, but also data on whether there were organic amendments and some models as well, so as to change and measure during a year what could be the stock changes in some maize plots in the southwest of France, where there is an incentive from a food company preparing paying the farmers for their increase in soil carbon. So how do we engage the international community? Well, as I said, we had those meetings I just mentioned. So just to show that we have a number of countries who have already participated in that in those meetings, and we want to carry on that discussion and those exchanges. So that's the name of the 35 countries who participated on those workshops and who had an impact on the RSC governance model and mission and vision statement, who helped us in identify some knowledge gaps and also funding opportunities. And well, we also have some volunteers to test the knowledge platform we are developing, and also who are volunteers to share some data on that platform we are developing. So I just mentioned briefly some regional node workshops that we've had. So one with Embrapa in Florianopolis during the summer. We also had some meetings in Cambodia, also with the help of IRD, and also with the SFRI, who's one of our partners. We participated also in the West Africa seminar with the FOPEMIL, in the one in India, and we also had a meeting, an important meeting in the US on using remote sensing and biochemical models for monitoring, reporting, and verification. And one of our partners was the only non-American partner within that meeting, so we're quite proud of that. So now just how to join the Soil Carbon International Initiative. Well, you can sign a letter of interest, which is a non-legally binding document with no financial commitment. And you can find it there on our website, and you can just click on the mouse and fill in the proposition. So if you have 5 more minutes, I could just show you very briefly what we are developing in terms of a platform. So here it is. So this is developed with the ISRIC, CIRAD, and also Visuality, which is an IT company in Spain and Portugal. Some of you may know it because they've already developed Soils Revealed and also Global Forest Watch. And what what we have done is developed a number of services, which are geospatial data, scientific evidence. So there we show a number of scientific papers and coming out of the Web of Science and Scopus. I see that Julien is online. He could say a bit more about that. We have a network module. And we are also, with the help of other platforms, developing, knowledge on practices. We are also developing that. So this is just to show you what we've done. Here we are showcasing the carbon schemes inventory platform that has been developed within an EJP soil project called Road for Scheme. So this is what we could show here. Well, just to show you if we, at least just the maps we are using. And if you want to show, something more specific on France, I could show you those maps of remote sensing and biomass projects, but I won't go into details. But this is just a demo, but it will be released by the end of June next year. Thank you for your attention. I hope I wasn't too long.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Reinders. This was really fascinating, and what an exciting and hopeful collaboration is panning out between the IRC and the 4 per 1000 STC. That's really exciting. So thank you for joining us. So, dear members, this concludes our consortium and our day together. So thank you so very much for participating in the 7th day of the 4 per 1000. I wanted to note, I noted that I believe at the most we were 50 people, up to 50 people participating in person. And I think I saw 140 people on Zoom, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a really great attendance. So again, thank you so much for taking the time. I want to extend special thanks to the Executive Secretariat for their colossal work. It's really impressive what you're able to accomplish every year with such little resources. So really thank you from the bottom of everyone's hearts here, I believe. Special thank you to Beatrice, who gave her heart and soul to organize this day. Thank you, Beatrice. Warm thank you also to Julia, Claudia, Elena, and Samuel. And of course, incredible thanks, immense thanks to Paul Liu for all of your work in spearheading the initiative from its beginnings. You're really the pillar of the 4 per 1000. Thank you to Oliver for managing all of the technical aspects today. We really appreciate this. I want to highlight the work also of the Scientific and Technical Committee. Your work is so crucial to our initiative. So special thanks to the co-chairs of the STC, Farshad and Beverly, and to all members of the STC who were present here at this meeting. Thank you so much. I want to thank also our president, Mr. Stéphane Le Foll, and our vice president, Mr. Ibrahim Mayaki. So really warm thanks for their leadership in ensuring the presidency for the initiative so far. And it's been a pleasure for me to serve in this way as well. And special thank you also to all of our members and partners for your support of our initiative and of this cause of soil regeneration for climate mitigation and food security. It's really thanks to all of your collective work that the initiative can achieve its goals. So thank you. So again, thank you everybody for joining us today. It's been really wonderful, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
And thank you, Gabrielle. Thank you for the time you spend with the initiative. Thank you for your energy, your smile, and all that you bring to this initiative. We will regret you, but I'm sure you will not be far.
I won't. I'll be delighted to keep in touch and see you again. Thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you, Paul.